Hello, everybody, and welcome back to English with Gemma, where we turn English practice into progress. Let's start off with the obvious thing that needs to be discussed. Um, why I disappeared for literally 4 weeks. Initially, it was just going to be a 2 week kind of mental health reset break. And then that kind of turned into a longer break because the other day I went to record and I noticed that my microphone wasn't working. Now, I've always had issues with my microphone from the beginning. It's a little bit finicky, which means you kind of have to fiddle with it. You have to do certain things with it so that it works because the cable that connects the microphone to the computer is loose. It always has been. And that's always been an issue, but I kind of fixed that by putting a hair elastic around the microphone and trying to kind of hold it in place. But the issue that I was having was like a lot worse. It just wasn't working no matter what I tried. So after a lot of, troubleshooting with these technical difficulties, I realized that it wasn't actually the microphone. It was that I needed a new USB-C hub, which anyone who has like one of the newer MacBooks will know that you need one of these because the MacBook Air that I have takes USB-C, and the microphone is just a normal USB plug. I don't think it's called a plug, but I'm not very good with technology. Anyways, I had to buy a new one, and it took quite a while to get here. The first one that I had didn't work, so yeah, kind of a pain in the butt. But anyways, here we are, 4 weeks later. How has everyone been? I hope you're doing well. I have been kind of going through my yearly thing where I get really depressed in the winter. Kind of happens every year. I just, get seasonal depression and I try my best to combat that. And something that I do that I think really helps is having a morning ritual. So on today's minisode, we're going to be talking about having morning rituals, what that means, and also some useful vocabulary to kind of talk about that topic. So don't panic. We're not talking about waking up at 5 a.m. to meditate and, spend 3 hours journaling. That's not what I do. I do know some people that wake up really early. I am an early bird. Like I wake up at 7 a.m., but I know people who wake up at 5 a.m. One of my students recently told me that she wakes up at 5 a.m. because her family wakes up at 7 a.m. So she wants those 2 hours for herself to have her morning ritual. And I think that's fantastic. And it's super important, especially if you are a parent or someone who a lot of people rely on. I think it's really important to um, have that time for yourself. And the best time, in my opinion, is the morning. So I think my definition of a morning ritual is just a small routine that you do daily in the morning when you wake up to kind of start your day feeling energized or motivated or maybe focused and calm. Um, and it could be a couple different things. I mean, it could be listening to the radio or listening to a podcast or drinking your coffee while you read a chapter of your book. It could be, stretching or doing your yoga or your exercise or going to the gym. It could be writing your journal or writing a to-do list for the day, writing your plans for the day. Um, it's something simple and it can just kind of set the tone for your day. So, to set the tone means to create a mood or a vibe, an energy for the rest of your day, to set the tone. Like, how do you want to start something? You can also set the tone for a meeting, or you can set the tone for I don't know, a date or something like that. So it's like something that you do or say, which kind of dictates the general energy or vibe that a meeting or activity is going to have. Um, Another thing that I said was to kickstart your day. To kickstart just means to start your day energetically or in a motivated way because when you have a motorcycle, sometimes if the engine doesn't start with the normal ignition of the key, then you have to kickstart your motorcycle, which is using your foot to, I don't have a bike, so I don't even know what this is called. Using your foot to engage the clutch, I guess. I don't know if that's only if you have like a manual bike. I have no idea what that thing is called, but you have to kick a little lever to start your bike. So, this expression in English, to kickstart something, means to start something in a way that is like more energetic than usual. Um, Another fun expression is to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I think I mentioned this in one of my previous episodes. I think the episode about being an early bird versus a night owl. And if you're an early bird, it means you wake up in the morning with a lot of energy. You don't necessarily need coffee to kickstart your day. And to be bright eyed and bushy tailed, it means to be very alert and lively in the morning, kind of like a squirrel, which is this animal that climbs trees and collects nuts, and they have bright eyes. They're very alert, and bushy tail, which means a fluffy tail. So this idiom is kind of comparing a human to a squirrel who is full of energy, especially in the morning. And then there's an interesting phrase which we use a lot in English, which is to stick to something, to stick to a routine or to stick to a habit. It just means to keep that habit going and to remain focused and doing that habit, to stick to something, to continue with doing something as a habit. So I think a morning routine is really important because it helps your brain feel more organized. I think it reduces stress and it gives you a sense of control over your day. Um, it's really important that we try our best not to start our days in a chaotic manner. So, just taking a couple moments to just breathe and slow down. Even if you don't really have the time in the morning, I'm very grateful and lucky that I have my mornings pretty free. I don't start my first classes until 10 a.m. So I wake up at 7 and I have all that time to plan my lessons, record this podcast, do my morning habits. And for me, that is absolutely key. And it's something that if I didn't have that, I don't think that I would be able to like function as well as I do. So even if your morning is chaotic and you don't have that much time, it is important to find a few minutes just to slow down, do something for yourself, even if it's small. Um, Makes your morning more intentional. And I really do believe that it makes your day, the rest of your day, flow more smoothly. So I wanted to talk about something quickly, which is having an over the top morning ritual. Over the top means um, too much or too intense. You're doing too much. You're going, this is the top, and you're going over it. You're doing more than you need to. So, the type of person that does like a 40-minute skincare routine, 15-minute meditation, and somehow, I don't know, they still are on time for work. I don't know how people wake up that early and then continue. I guess it's because they go to sleep early. I cannot wake up at 5 a.m. because I go to bed at 12 a.m. So that means I would only have like 5 hours of sleep. So I guess it's all about perspective and it's about what time you go to bed. Um, yeah, so you don't have to do your morning ritual in an over the top way. Like I said, it can be something really simple and straightforward. It can still be effective. And I want to leave you with a question, a reflection. What is one thing that you could start doing in the morning that you could literally start it tomorrow morning that you would think would make you feel better and would kickstart your day in a good way? Just one small thing. Try and think about it. And if you already have a very established morning routine, like me, then that's great. And I'm sure you will uh, agree with me that you can definitely feel those benefits. So, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I'm sorry that I disappeared for a month. Um, I don't think it will happen again. The original plan was just to take 2 weeks off, and then it just got extended because of my technical issue. But here we are once again. I'm happy to be back. I hope you guys are glad that I'm back, and I will see you in the full episode this Friday. Bye, guys.